All right, man. What's up, John Bowra?
What's up?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's my 56th birthday, so
Oh, nice, nice, dude. I always wanted to be 56. Is it really your birthday?
it's my birthday. I'm
Oh, nice,
34.
nice, man. Nice.
This is
That's
probably
awesome.
this is probably like top three coolest things I've done today for my birthday.
Hell
This right,
yeah,
this
hell
right
yeah.
here.
I'm glad that you could be our first guest on Outside the Booth. So
That's so cool.
yeah,
Yeah, man. I hope you
yeah,
do it for this whole time that we're on lockdown, so I have something to watch and I have
yeah.
other people to watch.
That's the plan. I got some people lined up to, talk music and sort of kind of talk things outside music all the time. If we're in the club or we're like hanging with our music friends, it's usually around, you know, like loudspeakers and things like that. So,
Have you
um,
asked any Portland homies that are
um,
they
yeah, I
interested?
definitely got a few Portland friends lined up. I got a buddy from Eugene lined up, and got a buddy out of Milwaukee lined up here too. So,
So,
yeah, really excited.
DJs, promoters.
All of the above, and producers and
That's
singers.
I
Uh,
do all that except for sing. So
yeah,
I,
maybe I've heard you sing once before. Pretty sure I
I
haven't.
not serious. They probably take it serious. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just like get it started for people who don't know like who you are, like who is this guy, John Bowra? Where are you from? What do you like to do music wise? Is what do you know him from musically? And yeah, let's start there.
Um.
Where are you from?
DJ promoter, producer, Albuquerque, New Mexico, born and raised. I've been doing parties for about 10 plus years now and DJing for almost 20 years.
Oh
My
man,
my first party was 2001. That's crazy, but
2001. Wow.
I try not to think about it. But yeah,
So people in the
um,
Albuquerque or New Mexico area, they know you as a DJ and a promoter. Um,
and a super funny person.
oh, that's
No,
wow.
I hope, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, 10 plus years throwing parties, almost 20 DJing. So
Okay,
I think I've only been producing for maybe off and on, maybe 8 years. I mean, I used to mess with Reason
okay,
and then a little bit of Ableton, and now like the last 5 years, pretty much just Logic.
okay.
So,
Logic. So you produce, you DJ. What kind of music are you known for?
house, techno, a lot of break beats. This
Okay.
last 2 3 years, been playing so much break beats, probably almost sometimes more than house and techno.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah, I mean, when I played in Portland for you, I mean, I played half my set was break beats, and I
Yeah, it was dope.
felt like the dance floor wasn't really feeling it as much as like the 4-on-4 vibes, but you gotta take those chances. So.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I think about a good thing about being an artist is you get to own your space and time, and you get to do your own thing. And whether or not the audience is always digging it, you're gonna hit and miss. You've been doing it a long time. You've definitely had a ton of hits for sure. So I've seen it.
It's probably about even with
Yeah,
with misses and hits.
I can relate
It's
for sure.
but you can't have no good hits unless you have some bad moments on the dance floor. So it always makes the better times better than the
For
worst times.
sure. So starting off this show, I wanted to have I have a ton of questions here. I will probably only get through a few of them. It would give us like an hour, to talk, hour and a half maybe. Uh, so, how old were you when you first got into the industry?
Mm,
Call it the
I
industry.
I wouldn't even really consider. I mean, the industry now. I
Okay.
mean, I've opened up for probably some of the biggest names that you in the industry, but I myself don't necessarily feel that I'm like part of it because I don't really know.
I definitely say you're in the industry. You throw parties. You put music out on a couple of labels, and you have your own like
to, to
independent thing going. So that's
to
cool.
a certain extent. I mean, I guess the first like party I threw, were the techno theory parties, and those were all just kind of local, except for a few like J Flip and I think a few other like out of state kind of
And
headliners.
what year
But
was that? Do you know?
2009.
2009. Awesome.
So that was like the first, like, I guess, party that had like money involved, like
Yeah.
a like a fee to get in the door, and like you have to pay the artist and like all that kind of stuff.
All
But
those official logistics.
yeah.
So
So
awesome. When did you like? When did you first step into a party and find electronic music or house and techno?
I mean, like, I think most people probably will never forget the first like rave they went to.
Hmm.
So like my first rave was at an old Kmart building, and it was
An old Kmart building.
yeah, and it was this girl DJ Irene. I'm sure you know who DJ
Yeah,
Irene is.
that's awesome.
So I think I wait. It was on what's that holiday? St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, nice.
It was on St. Patrick's. It was like a St. Patrick's Day rave, and I think we waited in line for like 2 hours to get
Wow.
in, and then I had never took an ecstasy or anything, and then this girl that I was kind of like hooking up with or whatever, her brother was like selling pills, and he like hooked me up with like 2 for $20, and I had those pills the whole time in line, and I was like scared because like it's just like a whole new experience, you know. So I waited until like the very last moment to take one of those pills, and I spit it out. Like I took it, and then like I was like all freaked out. I don't know, and I spit it out, and there's like this like melted pill in my hand. I'm like fuck it, and I just took it, and then I took I took that other pill probably an hour later, and then I wanted another one. Probably way too much for your first time, obviously. But I saw that same guy, that brother of that girl, and I just went up to him, and I only had like a walled up thing of like dollar bills, and I was like, "Here you go." And he gave me another pill.
So, so what year was that? Do you know what year that was that you were
Oh,
waiting in line for 2 hours?
2001.
To 2001
Yeah,
flashback.
I mean there was cops. I mean it was like a legit rave. Like I mean there was at least like 10, 15 cops like doing the whole like security and like line check-in, and I mean I was with this guy Derek, and it was his first rave too.
And this is in Albuquerque.
Yeah, and then some of our other friends are like kind of like experienced ravers,
Mhm.
and like when we first walked
So
in,
they weren't taking 2 pills before they got in the party.
probably not. I don't know. um, I
So
but
overall experience when you first you walked away from this night, DJ Irene or whoever else was on that lineup that you do or do not remember, like you're like,
oh,
yeah.
it was just all locals
What
for
was it about
sure.
that? What was it about that party
Oh,
that
and the rave was called Friction.
friction? Like two
Yeah,
things.
I just remember because it was like everyone wanted to go to this rave, bro. I mean, DJ Irene, it probably had like 3,000 people. I
Wow.
mean, if you can imagine, it took 2 hours to get in this rave. I mean, it was crazy. And then cause like I was never like really into candy and stuff, but I had like this like little lizard that I had that was out of like beads,
Yeah.
and I wore that because it was like green, and it was like St. Patrick's Day. I don't know. I was just like trying to fit in. Like, I mean, it was like green. It was candy. That's all I really had. So,
Rape culture always brings in the, outcasts and sort of weirdos. So,
but I,
you
but
know,
I, but I kept that. I kept that lizard for like every rave I went to, and I never really had candy that much, but I always had
yeah.
that like little lizard kind of
So
guy.
after you went to this St. Patrick's Day rave with DJ Irene, you kept going like with your same friends, or did you develop a new friend group? Like, how did that work? Do you remember any other memorable parties in your early rave days?
Yeah, I mean, like pretty much all the people that I would go to raves with were all going to Valley High School,
Mm-hmm.
and it was all pretty much like the same like 10, 15 dudes, and none of those people are really even into like any of the music or anything now. I mean, they're still friends and we still keep in touch somewhat, but that was definitely like a phase in their life.
So is it safe to say you're the only one that made it all the way through and you're still kicking?
Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever you look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of those guys have kids and bought houses and stuff like that.
So
And
thinking back then to like as an early raver kid, were you attracted to any of like the older crowd that's like took you under their wing, or do you remember any like sort of people that were memorable?
not really, bro. Um, I mean, for me in this scene and like coming up and stuff, it was definitely like all up to me. Like I didn't really have like people like pushing me like, oh, you could do it, or
Yeah.
you should pursue it, or oh, you're dope at DJing or whatever. Like I never really had like anyone trying to like put any kind of confidence in me. It was kind of just up to myself. So a lot of
That's
my
totally different to like what nowadays, right? Like with the internet and social media, you got a kid who got half a controller and a computer can go out there and just like everyone's just throwing a little bit of everything at him.
dude, like
The whole different world, right?
DJing is like so much built around having confidence, and like it's so hard to build that own confidence up in yourself. But yeah, like you said, with social media, I mean, you can just get all the like love and compliments and confidence just off your phone. Like,
Yeah.
don't even have to do anything, just post a video. So, um, I feel like I didn't really, I don't know, I didn't like have like a lot of like close friends that stayed being ravers. Like, once all my friends stopped going to parties, I just went by myself because I didn't have no one to go with. And then I don't know, probably until I started DJing at this place called the Light Club.
Mhm.
That's where like a lot of DJs and stuff were kind
And
of like,
that was also in Albuquerque.
yeah, that's where a lot of DJs were kind of coming up, or I met a lot of people there basically.
The Lighthouse, it was called?
The Light Club.
The Light Club. And where was it located in the city?
It was like it's kind of like in the Heights, and this place is like a
Describe it.
church. It's like a church community center.
Oh wow. So big, like a big space.
Yeah, so people didn't really like to go there because they thought it was like weird to like try to have like a rave there, but it's also like in the daytime, like for Christians,
Okay.
because there's like scriptures like all around this built like.
So you guys you played at like what essentially was a church.
Yeah, but the space that
That's
they
cool.
have built in there is like perfect for like, I don't know, like 200-person like concerts type of thing.
Okay.
Like it's made, there's like a stage, and
Okay.
lights, and
They were ahead
so
of their time.
yeah, dude. So yeah, I got my start basically there, and I used to work the like snack bar and like selling like chips and like nachos and like
That's
50,
great.
50-cent
So
pickles and
you
all
get
that
to
stuff.
get the show for free, whatever
Yeah,
was
but
there.
I also like met people like that were in the scene,
That's cool.
like Crystalline, Crystalline and Taos.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Um, I mean, I don't remember like a lot of like advice that people have ever gave me or anything, but she sticks out because she was all because I used to play like kind of trancey stuff when I first
Uh-huh.
started coming up, and she was like a super house head, like funky house, deep house, and so and I knew she like probably didn't like my music,
Uh-huh.
but I wanted to like be cool with her. So I was like, I know you don't like really like trance and stuff, but it'd be cool if you got a chance to come check out my set or whatever, and she was like, just no matter what, like always just play like what you love. Like it doesn't matter what I like, it doesn't matter what he likes, what she likes, it matters what you like.
Yeah.
And like I think I'll always remember that out of anything.
That's a really good good message, I think,
and
especially.
she and then she ended up booking me
Oh,
to open
sweet.
up for J Flip in Taos, like 10 years later. Who knows? You know what I mean? And now, I don't play any of that, trancy stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's cool that she remembered me and like gave me a chance, 10 years later or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's a really cool thing to have someone that's older than you to like almost either bring you under their wing or even the little bit of advice they give you. It feels like so much, especially
Yeah, I
when you're really kind
remember.
of
Yeah,
looking for some validation when you don't have many people around you to give it to
yeah,
you.
dude. I remember Krista Asus, who's like like a legend, you know, um, at this party called Cherry. It was at that same Kmart building.
Uh-huh.
There was like a lot of raves at this Kmart building for a while,
Sounds like a wild good time.
and you know what I was wondering? Will people be able to hear it even though we have our headphones
Yeah,
on?
yeah, everything.
Oh, I just wondering. But
Yeah.
no, this party called Cherry. He had like this like necklace, like glow in the dark necklace that like flashed and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't know me or anything, but he was on the dance floor, shirtless, dancing with some other people. This party was like heavily like a lot of gay people at this party.
Right.
But I was like 17 by myself. This is when I started running by myself. And I was on the dance floor, like literally surrounded by shirtless dudes. Like
That's great, man. I love it.
but it was all good. Like I saw Chris Asus, he saw me and he had saw me like when he was DJing, he like pointed me out early when I was like, he was like, yeah, like pointing me out when I was like raving and stuff. And he saw me when I was on the dance floor and he like gave me his necklace.
Oh, that's great.
And I was just like, it made me feel comfortable because I was by myself, surrounded by shirtless dudes, like, you know what I mean? And like just for Chris, who's like a legend, he doesn't know me or anything, like just gave me this little like, and that's like rave culture to the fullest to me.
That's
and
dope.
That kind of stuff like just will never happen again. Like I'm sure it does happen in smaller cases.
Yeah.
But that kind of spirit, I feel like, is not really something that is around that much.
It's definitely hard to come by nowadays. I can definitely relate to that being hard to come by nowadays in the current state of affairs.
But people are older and stuff too, so of course I don't expect someone who's in their 30s to come give me a piece of candy, obviously. Yeah. But just like, I feel like those like little connections, I just don't really see happening as much,
For sure.
But
so that was an interesting party story. Do you have any other kind of crazy party stories that you think of the top of your head? Not right now.
I mean, no, I'm shaking my head because there's too many.
So what about this real quick? So like, when you first started DJing, how old were you yourself? You just started DJing?
About 15, 16.
And then like, what was your first setup? What did it look like? Cause I love asking people this question because I know I had a pretty janky setup. My first setup was pretty janky.
I mean, it wasn't super bad, but I had like these black Newmarks. So already they were pretty tight because they were black. And they were direct drive. They were belt drive.
Nice.
So already that's like ahead of the game, kind of. And then I had like this crazy, like, I don't know, like it was a big ass like log mixer.
Like a rack mixer?
Yeah, and it was had like 4 or 5 channels on it. And the fader was always all like broken. But it had like this like little like delay echo effect on it.
Uh-huh.
So that was like my first ever like experience with like effects.
That's pretty wild that your first mixer ever had effects.
But I mean, it wasn't like it was very, very low key effects, like, okay. But it did a little like echo delay kind of thing. Like, okay. I think it was a Gemini mixer.
Okay.
I'm pretty
sure.
Try
to picture an old Gemini rack mixer with one effect on it.
Dude, it was like one. It was, but I used to just play with that effect so much, like, which is probably why I, still mess with effects to this day because I just had that one. Like, but then I had a little like CD deck. It was a Denon CD deck. Mm-hmm. And
is it the one with the little flimsy CD on top?
Yeah, you can like scratch it.
Yeah, that was actually, in my opinion, that was one of the best decks.
It's pretty dope.
First like digital decks that was out. In fact, I could probably still.
it had built-in effects. It had built-in effects on it.
I'm familiar. Yeah, yeah. That was a
I
fun
don't
CD
even know
try.
how much I bought that for or where I got it from, but I just remember being like, oh man, I'll never play CDs. Like this is just for like home. This is just for like a home thing, you know.
Uh-huh.
And now it's all USBs. So
Yeah, I know you've been playing a couple of like since we've been on lockdown. You sent me a picture the other day. You had the turntable set up, the Stanton straight '80s, man. Those my first set of decks.
so I have one Stanton, and then I have another Technique
Okay,
1200.
okay.
So I
You got
mean,
one pretty legit one and
and
one like we don't know what's gonna happen.
no, it's a good deck though.
Yeah, for sure. Those are the decks I learned
It's
on.
better than the Newmark one that I have, but
Yeah.
I love playing records, and
Same, man.
it's just so fun being so rusty too. I mean, with CD decks, it's just so easy, obviously, and with vinyl, like you have to put in work,
You
and
do got to
it's
put in work, man. You
and
definitely got to work
I
it.
kind of like not I kind of like having like a turntable that's like not a
Yeah.
Technique because it's definitely got to put in some more work
It's
and
definitely a different experience for those that are used to playing on techniques and you go to a straight arm that's only 10% or even 12%. And you're like, oh my
and
God.
I was mixing earlier and I was like, oh man, I wonder if I was like any good when I was like 17, 16. Like I wonder if I was like ever mix if I ever I'll never remember because it's so
Yeah.
long ago. But I wonder if I ever like really got it down or if I just like got it down enough that that I just like made because I only played records for maybe 4 years
Uh-huh.
until it turned like digital.
Yeah.
So I mean, my record collection's not as big as other people's, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful to have a collection, I should say.
Yeah, same. I've definitely been playing a lot more records lately that we've been on lockdown and getting the digital decks and then the vinyl deck set up. I've been finding myself like turning off my CDJs on purpose just because like I really love getting my fingers dusty. It's a good feeling.
Um,
I know you mentioned
ha-
the other day you were looking for a record. You were like looking for a lot of records. Michael, who recently moved to Portland. I bought his pretty much his entire lot. For an X amount of dollars that we won't talk about. But
well, I was about to ask if you've gone through all those or not yet.
um, every day I pull a new one out and try and I've tried 5 or 6 times to organize them, and some of them are just so. I'll get 20 records in. I'm like, man, this. I was putting deep house on this shelf, and I was putting minimal up here, and then I was putting like tech house here, and I was putting techno here, and now it's like
Um,
I've had to make all these hard decisions, and it's still mixed up.
yeah, man, Mike Quill. I mean, he's probably one person that has influenced my DJing quite a bit. Like
That's awesome, man. That's like my next
even
question on here is like, who, as a friend or as even like a an artist that you like look up to as far as like doing technique in DJing or even writing music as a producer.
I mean, locally,
That's
I
awesome.
mean, it's definitely Michael and like Tim, the Rev. Just because I just always admire the way they mix and their track selection, and Mike Will. He used to do this thing where he would like mix at the break.
Yeah.
Everybody always like tries to mix, at the end of a record.
Yeah.
Um, he used to do this thing where he would start the beginning of a record at the
Start of the
break
break.
at the break of another record and
Okay.
just like let them rinse for as
Forever.
long as possible. um, and that's like one technique that I still like kind of do to this day, but I don't.
I'm really
I
weird about that myself. Like I've always had a rule like don't mix during the break. So
but there's ways to do it where it's like
was it just letting the other record like start at the break and then maybe not bringing it in till the break hits?
yeah, well, there's ways to like slowly bring it in with the EQs where
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
barely hear a little bit of highs. Like I don't
Okay,
know.
that's
Um,
awesome. I love to hear how people's techniques are in like in how they mix. Berg, who lives here now, he has this interesting technique where he loops the start of the record and he mixes into like a loop every time, and he'll create like his own patterns. He'll get like an off loop going, and it's completely different than I sometimes understand what he's doing. And it's like sometimes I'll sit there and I'm looking at him, he's working on my CDJs. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
I've uh I've played with Berg so many times, so
It's
I
awesome.
know what you're talking about with the looping vibes. Um, I feel like that's one area that I could improve on is
I definitely a
is,
huge fan.
is
Huge fan of
catching.
looping. I love it. I've been teaching my wife Whitney to, because she who also DJs, which is pretty freaking cool to be married to someone who also DJs. She keeps me on my toes for sure, but she's very much like knows how to mix one track in together and do the EQs, and like all the fancy extra stuff is like so extra to her that like just catching a loop is sometimes like just to fathom it for her is like stressful. So I can totally understand how, like I've seen it on her, even myself sometimes when I first started, I could see how just like that's an area that we don't go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
there's a lot of DJs I really like and admire that like they don't use no effects. Like they don't any extra stuff. They don't really get into it. Like they just are really good at mixing.
who's
Like
uh who's your name a list here?
DJ Harvey, for
Yeah.
example. I mean, sometimes he won't even like beat match records. Like
Yeah.
I've listened to mixes of his where he listened to track end and start a whole new track. And then I read an interview with him when he was like, "Don't be a slave to the mix." So
Oh
don't
dang.
don't feel like you always have to like beat match records to pull off because you can do cool transitions without
Yeah.
having the actual beat match tracks. So that's one thing that I wish I could do more. I don't really have that confidence as much, but
I could definitely see myself being self-conscious of that sometimes, because there's been a couple of times where I've really just wanted to play this intro, and like maybe at the end of this track it gets so wafty that it probably could work, but like the way I've been classically trained, as a young DJ growing up, you got to mix the first beat. Like it's
yeah, that's
it's it's
not
more internal than it is external, because I'm sure people would love it, but I've never really been brave enough myself to do those sorts of things. So hopefully, when we all get out of our quarantine and lock up, that we can, if there's any places left to play, that we can, practice. If not, we're all going to be live stream DJs for the rest of our lives.
no, but that's
We're all
one thing
quarantined.
about really being able to program a set
Yeah,
is you don't necessarily have to beat match tracks to have cool mixes.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if I'll ever be there in my own personal craft, but I think
Talking about confidence, you got to be fucking confident to do that for sure.
yeah, that's like an end of the night type of thing where you're like, all right, one or two more,
Yeah,
just play it.
I played the Prince 1999 track at the end of my radio show the other day. I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
I was
um,
listening to Carla
yeah, man.
on her radio show the other day,
Shout out Carla,
and
who
that's kind of one thing that she does. She'll kind of just like let tracks play out and start go from like hip hop to rock to house to like it's pretty
but
cool.
knowing Carla, and just like spending time at her house, at her dad's house in the valley, when she was pulling out records, she's like, check all this shit out. It's my dad's. Like, she has such a interesting selection just in her being, but it's very eclectic, right? It's very like her influence pool from all these, like all those genres you're just saying. So okay, when I first heard her set, I was like, I almost wasn't surprised. I was like, this is exactly what I would expect Carla to do. But then when she mixes two dance records together, you're like, all right, homegirl's working it. Like she's been working. So I don't doubt her craft on that end. So anytime that I hear one of her like her live mixes and she's playing like live rock and like some jazz or
It's
some
cool.
beats, I'm like, all right, like I'll make a point to sit there and listen. So that's super cool.
I hope when I get older, like I won't even mix no more. I'll just fucking play tracks. Like these are just tracks that I like. I'm not gonna put the energy to
Yeah.
to mix because when I mix, like I put a lot of energy into it. I feel
Yeah. Well, how many times have you been sitting on the dance floor and you're just like you're feeling it, or maybe then someone else gets on and maybe their first record, guilty. the first record is a total squash, you know, and you're just like the whole. Got my daughter in the other room. Here. But you know, like the whole, you know, either your first mix or something's either a bad mix or maybe it doesn't necessarily sound good, and then you get into a weird little mode, you know. I feel like, I don't know, man, it's a science project every time. But the cool thing about it is, you know, music is art, and you know, sometimes art doesn't work, and you got to go back into the studio
That's
and
what,
mix paint again, and you got to, cut that line again, or you got to melt this down one more
that's
time.
why the live DJ streams are weird to me,
Yeah.
because I play music based off how the crowd's feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and that's solely how I go by how I decide what tracks to play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't
So
know
that sentiment that you told that one of your mentors said earlier about playing that music that you love versus music that he loves or her, like how do you come to a middle ground of
it's
playing what people like on the dance floor
I
versus doing what you like and
that's gonna
finding.
be what's interesting for me in my own personal life, as far as doing like one of these live streams,
Yeah.
is because when I do decide to do that, it's literally gonna be music that I 100% like myself,
Yeah.
because I don't have no crowd to read as far like, oh, they might like dig a vocal like kind of sample, they might dig this kind of bass line, like to get a reaction or to get
Yeah.
people kind of interested. You don't have that, so you solely just mixing tracks that you really, really like
Yeah,
yourself, you know.
for sure.
So it's gonna be weird, and I'm gonna try to do a few.
It's definitely different. I've always been someone who can sometimes, it's really hard to stick to your gun. You know, me playing deep house is sometimes, I remember playing with you years ago, you're like, bro, like you you can't get this deep right now. It's 1:00 in the morning.
But also it's like I kind of bang it out. Like I play like lately, like the last like, I don't know, 6 months, I play like real fast, like 130, 135. And there's no way I can play that fast by myself. That's like
Yeah,
a thing that you do around people and like when there's energy, you know? I don't think I can play that fast just chilling at home. So like
it's a different experience, huh?
when I'm playing at home, I'm gonna play like chill. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna like bring it, you know? So
Do you think that sort of thinking is a more old school like style of thinking? Because I personally think that's a more old school style of thinking of how people were raised in the culture and how things go at an event or a party, to where now literally anyone could just set something up and get it going, and they don't really always know visually and emotionally and or even spiritually how that's feeling on, just being connected via the internet.
kind of, because it's like, how do I say it? Like the main point of DJing for a lot of people, not just me, is you're trying to bring like happiness, enjoyment to other people.
Yeah.
So naturally, you're gonna want to play something that you know that's gonna make people dance. So
Yeah.
sometimes people take cheat codes and they just play like, the top 10 and stuff like that. And I'm not knocking that, because
I like that term, cheat codes.
they're cheat codes. Some tracks, I mean, I've been playing some tracks for so long because I know they're gonna go off. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I've played so many tracks so many times. Like,
Here comes the
but
percolator.
not just that, but that's a
Oh,
good
I
example.
used to
But
make fun of you all the time. I'm like, here comes John with the percolator. Watch.
I
Yup.
know, and it gets into a point though where it's like a bad habit though, and you don't want to get trapped in those kind of bad habits. And there was a while, like, not so much now that I'm older, but when I was younger, definitely I'm just gonna play tracks that I know are gonna go off. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think everybody has always gotten that habit.
I
But
definitely have been in some conversations where I'm like, guess what John's gonna play?
But
a random kid would be like, The Percolator. That's the jam. But to be fair, you were playing the Percolator before everyone else was playing the Percolator. You know, so
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I definitely on that whole. That's a whole nother episode.
I'll still play it.
I know, it's great.
I
I
think
found myself playing some really old like Dirty Bird stuff on on the records that I got from Michael. I'm like, okay, I can play the big kazoo now. It's
I
that
mean, for a
class.
while,
Tight. I'm down.
Dirty Bird tracks are the cheat codes the all day long. For a while there, like you could just play a Dirty Bird set the whole time, and everyone's like happy. Like, and that's okay. Like, it's all good to be that. I mean, now that I'm older, I'm so more chill in how I think. Back then,
how awesome and successful have they been as a sound and as a record label to even have that sort of label? So like, and I think that anyone that makes music wants to be at that level or somewhat shoot for a successful level where like, my name is my sound is my name. You know what I mean? So in that sense, I like super kudos. I still play a lot of that music. So like, no assault here at all. But like, I've had some conversation with people, that are used, and not just that sound, but any sound in particular where they get salt towards it or whatever. But as I've definitely grown older, I'm sure you can relate to just accepting more, and whether it's 4 on the floor, or if it's some type of break, hip hop style, or trap music, or
it's cool, man, because I've literally been playing Dirty Bird tracks since the first one it came out, and like it's really cool to see how many like people they've influenced and to see how many people that are still influencing. And I mean, I hope there'll be more styles of like house music that become born or influenced because of like that, And I bet you there is. I mean, there's so many kids that are influenced by that sound. So it's weird because when you get like now I just turned 34 today. What's up?
Salud.
But now that I'm like older, it's weird because I'm so interested more in playing kind of like older music. And I was even talking to Eldon today. Eldon got back to me about selling his records, and he was more than down to sell them because he said he's all about the new stuff. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, why am I trying to get old stuff? Like, what's wrong with me? But
I love finding an old bin of records on the side of the road and just being like, what in the hell is in here? Like this crazy like show tunes jam from the 1930s, and you're like, huh.
But it's crazy because playing old records, like what I've been noticing, it literally sounds old. Like it doesn't sound like this is like current style of like a deep, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I want to play a vinyl set one day, but I don't think it's gonna like.
You think that most of the records you have sound old then?
Yeah, they don't sound current. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I feel like I have a lot of timeless music.
Oh no, I have I mean? There's definitely timeless jams, no doubt.
There's one Moby track that I played the other day. That's a record that every time I play it, I'm like, this is just so futuristic.
But you think it sounds new? Like it came out recently?
It doesn't sound dated. Like I could very easily hear it now and be like, okay, that's some really cool, like deep, minimal style house or something. Gosh, I don't know the name of the track off the top of my head. If I had the record collection in here, I'd grab it. I could see it in my brain. I think I miss that. I miss that about mixing records, is where like you knew exactly what that cover looked like, and then you knew like where it was, like which one you played on which side. I'm like, no, I don't play the A side. That pulls me up every time.
I have found so many new tracks just going through records that I didn't even like B-sides, like so many random tracks. I'm like, what the heck?
That's how I got the name for our party promotion company, or label or brand or whatever you want to call it. Was
B-side.
Yeah, shout out B-side. Was just an ode to the dig, and we wanted to have people play that like really value the dig and value that sort of old style of sentiment of really digging through music and finding things that work together. And I don't know, I think it's gone. We were off to a great roll this year until this thing hit. But we're all going to be great on the other side of this, and it's going to be a lot of hugs and a lot of tears after this. But I'm definitely excited.
I hope, bro, because
back together again.
I went to one of the things that worries me the most about the current situation is, are people gonna act weird to each other when they go out? Are they gonna like are they gonna give each other hugs? Are they gonna be like, oh, like,
I'll tell you one thing. I've never been a fan of like being in a party and someone coming up to my face and being like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh man. So
bro,
that's just my joke, but I'm worried. I'm sure some people are going to be a little weird, and I don't think we can get mad at them. I think that we all just got to take it slow when it happens.
So are you gonna be anti-hugs?
I can't answer that right now. Right now, I'm definitely anti-hug, but I have no one to hug. I have my wife and baby, so I'm cool with that though.
I went to Target yesterday with my mom, and when we
Mhm.
were leaving,
Did you try hugging people?
no, well, when we were leaving, I ran into two friends.
Uh,
Uh, my friend and her boyfriend, and
did you give hugs?
but like no, we did, but it was weird at first because it was like people don't know what to do, or like, should we handshake?
I've been really weird about my friends. I'm like, we're gonna like air high five or like air pound. It's been really weird, but yeah, we have people come over to visit. But they just visit through the window, so it's
I
kind of
don't
awkward.
I hate it. I hate that way of being like when everything
Yeah.
comes when it does come back to somewhat a little bit of normalcy.
Take a
I want
drink.
I want people to be normal with each other. I don't want people to be all weird that they can't like hug each other. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's not a way to live. Like to
I
see
think
your
it's I think it's a new state of consciousness that everyone's just gonna have to live by and just be a little think a little bit more, man. Who knows what's gonna happen after this? But
so how long until you would give somebody a hug?
how long till I'm probably gonna wait at least 3 or 4 parties. I'm not gonna say like what time of that is, like 3 or 4 parties for me till I'm comfortable giving people hugs again. Like it's a guess. It could be one, and I'm just like, you know what, I can't do this. Um, I think there's no time limit. I think we just,
three
man,
or
it's
four,
hard to talk about. This is not what the show was intended for, but
three or four parties. Three
you
or
know,
four parties.
3 or 4 parties, whether that's takes a month or a year.
I mean, I'm going full hug.
Okay.
It's up to the other person though.
Oh dang, you might just get denied. It's like,
No,
hold up, like.
it's up to them, man. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, if you mentioned a couple of like DJs that influence you, but like if you could name any artists that you would, you aspire to be like, or sit alongside, could you name like 10 artists? They could be music artists, they could whatever you consider an artist. If you can name 10,
I don't think I can name 10.
could you name
Um,
5?
I can name some for sure. I mean the main person DJ wise that I like look up to, or who I think I would aspire to be, or is Carl Cox, and that's the only person DJ wise that I can think.
Carl, you went there tight.
He's just the only person that I can think of on that. You know,
Okay.
and you were there. You were there when I got to open up for him. So I
Yeah,
mean,
that was
it's crazy.
pretty wild.
You took the picture I have with him,
Yeah.
or one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, he
but
was a
he's
cool
the.
dude, man.
But I mean, that's to say if I get to DJ for that long. The reason why I say him too is because like he just like loves the music so much, and he's like
Isn't it such a joy to watch him just like that
he's so
smile?
he just cares like so much, and I just hope I can care or love music that much as long.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I would. I mean,
Did you
skill
watch
set.
his live stream?
I've been watching some that he's done. Yeah.
You can say skill set what?
I mean, skill set. I mean, he's like the best, but I mean, besides that, I
Strong
just the
statement. The
just the
best.
just the passion that he has for the music.
Yeah.
I just hope I can feel that way about the music that long and not ever
Sure.
become jaded or not. He never gives out the vibe like he's better than people.
Yeah.
And there's so many artists that come out today that haven't even accomplished even nowhere near half that, and they put out such a kind of like a better like it's weird to me, you know.
I get that.
So I mean, there's just so many amazing DJs, you know, to
Oh,
aspire
you
to.
got Carl Cox. That's one. You got four more.
It's just
Three
it's
more.
so.
Who else?
I mean, I guess I would say, you know, like house legends, Danny Tenaglia, Armin van Helden,
Oh wow.
you know, Louis
Okay.
Vega. I look, you know, of course, all the Detroit DJs, you know, on and on for them.
You know, I
Carl
saw.
Craig, Jeff Mills. You know how I feel about Detroit. So I
Yeah.
mean, all that stuff is just like all those guys are like the same to me. They're all just equally badass and influential, you know. So that's why I can't really put like top five.
Yeah.
But I feel like all those people.
Maybe your list is one row.
But I feel like all those people have qualities that someone like Carl Cox has.
Yeah.
So they're like Stacy Poulin, all the Detroit people, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes on and on from there. But Derek Carter.
He's
I mean,
definitely on my list.
there's 10 right there. I just don't have like.
I like how you were like, I don't have 10. You're like, I got 15.
I mean,
what about producer wise? Are you?
I mean, Bad Boy Bill. He was one of the first DJs to ever inspire me, Bad Boy Bill.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. I mean, but his production wise, I never followed it. But DJ wise, I mean, he's like someone.
Like, do you put your, you know, on the record? Like, everyone remembers that Bad Boy Bill story.
No, when he used to come to Albuquerque, it was like, you going to Bad Boy Bill? You going to Bad Boy Bill? He had like banging a box.
Oh man, I went to a couple of those parties. Yeah,
he was like the first like superstar DJ when I was like a kid.
I remember going and seeing Bad Boy Bill when like the newer Club 7 opened. Oh man,
I mean,
people don't know what that is who are watching. It's I hope they make a documentary one day.
pour one out for Club 7. All the homies at Club 7.
Oh man. So we kind of talked about the old days. Like, what do you miss? If you could name a couple things about the old days, you mentioned like that sort of love. Like, what else do you miss? Like about just the older sort of generation and times in the scene.
Oh man, to be honest, currently, I just miss everything that was currently going on already.
Yeah.
And
being out.
Yeah,
doing
like
things.
The old days, I appreciate it a lot because I mean, it makes you the person you are, you know.
Yeah.
But man, I gotta admit, like everything that we were currently doing, that was currently going on, was like the best shit that I was already doing. Like, you know what I mean? But as far as the old days, goes,
this year, man, you are still doing very well.
Still alive, you're right. But as far as the old days goes, just like everything's like new. You know what I mean? So you just don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Even like your first DJ gigs, like it's just like nerve wracking. That's how I got into tequila because I couldn't.
Because your first, you were 15?
Nah, like when parties got like a little bigger and stuff, but I would have to go and get like little shots, little shooters. Before every gig, I'd have to take 2 shooters.
Yeah.
But everything was just like new, and then now it's like, dude, nothing's new. And that's kind of what sucks.
That's really the only thing you have to play with. It's like that's not new. It's kind of like,
but it's all gonna feel new. Like when we can throw parties again, it's gonna feel like brand new again because the way we interact with each other is gonna be so different, and it's gonna be like a whole new way of like.
It's gonna change everything.
But it doesn't have to be weird, and that's kind of what I've just been thinking so much. Is that we don't have to be weird about it. We can be cautious. We can take the measures to feel safe. But like you said, some people are gonna want to give hugs. Some people are gonna be like, nah, not really. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have to be weird. Like we can still try to get back to some sense of normalcy. Like
maybe it will help people be better communicators.
Yeah,
you know, self-advocating and things like that are skills that any
but
good person,
it's just so
person should
crazy.
have.
It's just so crazy to think though that like someone like a friend that you haven't seen in a while couldn't just come up to you and be like, just like give you a hug.
Yeah.
Like what the
I
fuck? That's
I had a
weird to me.
weird I had a weird just exactly this. So I played my last gig at the end or the start of the month, and it was like the 13th. This is the 13th, and I was already really weird about it. I was like, I don't know if I should do it. Like, and luckily it's at this place, Nightlight Lounge. It's one of my favorite lounges in town. It's got these low ceilings and dope art on the wall. It's dimly lit. It's kind of like you got to play super deep and sexy there. Like that's the vibe. And I was already kind of worried. So when I took the gig, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have a whole plan to set me up in the corner and like put all these tables around me. And I did all the things. I even wore a mask to play. Like I have a photo on Instagram with my buddy Kieran playing, like us with masks on.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
And one of my friends, Kyle, came with this girl, and I know Kyle, and I had to repost it on the page, like, hey, like this is like, I'm not gonna hug anyone tonight, blah blah. And it was just to be cautious, just to let people know, keep 6 foot away. And then when I saw Kyle, we kind of gave each other air bump, and when he introduced this friend to me, she like went in for a hug right away, and I was like, oh. And by the time like I could even like, I was like, am I gonna be rude? Like I was just like going through all these thoughts in my head. And then by the time I knew it, like I'd already given her a hug, and then Kyle was like, "What the fuck, dude?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, like she like went in for the hug. I didn't know, like it was weird because I literally had just met the person. Like in this culture, like sometimes you like go in for a half hug or whatever, and that's what she did. Um, and that already was just like weird. So I'm interested to see how I myself self advocate if I choose to be like not, I don't know, having an infant daughter.
Yeah, we'll
That
just
a
eat
lot.
like you said, 3-4 parties. Just kind of got to
That's what
ease
I
into
figured.
it.
Three, 4 parties by that time. I feel like I'll feel safe enough. You know.
But this is kind of also is another thing is it's gonna go by numbers. So what's in Portland right now? What was like the capacity? Right now we have 5 people that they want us to be around. No more than 5 people.
No, they say 6 here. Oh no, they said if you could stay. We have a stay-at-home order. You're not supposed to. Well, you can go out for essentials for food or something like that, but 6 feet away from anyone else, and no groups of 10.
10, 10. So now
But
we're down.
I think they're gonna stop that soon and be like nobody. I know in San Francisco it's 3 people.
We're
They've been
down.
on it a month, like 2 weeks ahead of us. Okay, here's a really cool question. Let's get off this topic. Okay, so
COVID.
I want you to, I want you to go back 10 years. What would you now, with the knowledge that you have now, as a 34, happy birthday, 34-year-old John Bowra, what would you tell yourself 10 years ago that that you could?
Oh man. Uh, definitely like what I know about production wise. I mean, I wish I could have just like known that back then, or even cared more about producing at that time. I mean, I was
Yeah.
definitely just caring more about partying and DJing. Not even really throwing parties. I think I was just like super just partying hard for there a while for there.
You could have told yourself, get to writing music.
Yeah, like just partying's not as important. Like you try to focus more on producing a little bit.
Yeah, that's great advice.
um, also, I probably would have like just uh, learned more about business, like money handling and that kind of stuff like that. Um, I never like gone to like professional classes or so all these throwing parties all these years have been just like kind of learn as you go. So I wish I would have took like actual classes when I was younger, and I can just imagine the parties I've been throwing now. They'd even be better, you know.
Yeah.
Not necessarily money wise. Yeah, probably maybe, but also just all around organizing wise, you know.
Yeah.
And um,
So any regrets? Like go back. Like,
regrets?
yeah.
Oh man, no regrets.
Where's the tat? Where's
There's
the
not,
tat?
there's nothing to regret, man.
That's good. Let's see what else we got on this fun list. All right. How do you deal with the haters?
Are you gonna ask everybody that question?
Yeah, I think it's a fun one. There's always haters, right? Like,
I don't know, man. I just feel like you gotta have haters a little bit, but
yeah.
that's not something you should aspire to have, though. You definitely shouldn't be like. You
That was
shouldn't
in
be.
that
You
was in the
shouldn't.
off-brand questions
You
and
shouldn't
slash
be.
funny.
You shouldn't be stoked to have haters. That's weird when you're like, fuck the haters.
What are your hobbies outside of music?
Riding my bike for sure, which I'm doing more of now, which is cool. I just started gardening now that I
Okay.
have all this time.
What are you growing?
Oh man, I got all these seeds, bro. Check out all these seeds I got.
Oh, dope. You got a little New Seasons bag. What is that?
My aunt dropped these off for my birthday. What do you got here?
Nice.
Birthday.
That's dope. Oh,
There's this one. Yeah, so I got in the gardening right now.
that's great. So gardening. So I saw you drinking something earlier. What's your drink of choice?
Uh, Espolón.
Tequila.
Can
Oh
you
man.
see? Can you see that? Right? Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
That's the best tequila, dude.
So,
I've been pretty much drinking since 7.
really,
What about you?
just at the start of this call, that was it. Special talents.
Like what? No, I don't got none.
Like, can you blow bubbles off your tongue?
Oh, you know what? I got, dude. You know, I'm mad fucking crafty, dude.
You're mad crafty, like.
I'm so crafty.
Now that
I've been working at Meow for so.
Oh yeah, that's dope, man. You
couple years.
So you could work a glue gun.
I made this disco ball head that we take to some of the parties.
Dope.
All kinds of cool shit.
Favorite sports, maybe? You got some sports you like? Like, what are you into? Volleyball? Like...
Oh, you said I was actually on the volleyball team in middle school.
Oh,
that's so
volleyball team in middle school. That's
so
weird.
funny. That's so funny. You said volleyball. I love volleyball, dude.
Do you know what's funny? My last question on here on the off-brand questions was, do you have a green thumb? But you already answered that one.
Well, you know what? We'll see because this is my first time, so I don't even know if we'll see if they even come out. We got corn. We got some corn.
It's definitely a fall crop.
There we go. We got some peppers.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
We got some. I probably won't even eat this, but buttercup squash.
Ooh, yummy.
Is that good?
Fun. Yeah. Sounds fun. It's like butternut squash, but buttercup squash.
What do you make? What do you make with that?
Just, you fry it in a pan, saute it. It's mom.
Got the purple emoji. Anyways,
that's great, man. Well, this has been cool to talk about, like, stuff that's not entirely us yelling at each other in front of a speaker. That's never fun. Well, sometimes it is. Right?
It would be so fun right now.
It would be so fun right now. I would let you yell at me in front of a speaker all day tonight if we could be out, but soon enough. Thanks for being on our first episode, man. This has been cool.
Awesome. Realistically, when do you think in Portland you will have a get together? In your opinion?
I think it's gonna be at least a year from now.
A year?
A minimum, yeah, at least.
Wow.
At least, man. That's what for people. Yeah. That's what I think. But that's literally, like, we could talk a whole nother episode on why I think that. Yeah. But we have plenty of YouTube space.
Oh, all right. Well, before you cut me out, or before we say goodbye, let me show you my favorite seeds that I got today.
Right.
Techno seeds. Do you believe it? First of all, do you believe it?
Is there just 4 of them? Are they on the floor?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Detroit. Can you read it?
Detroit dark red beets. I'm glad we ended on that. That's great.
All right, bro.
Shout
Thank
out,
you. This
dude.
has
Thank
been
you.
Cool's birthday
Yeah, man. Happy birthday.
birthday talk. So this is fun, man.
Yeah, man. We're gonna have a bunch of cool guests this week, and hopefully, when I put out the YouTube channel, if you wanna let people into your personal life, you share it or whatever.
We'll see.
You'll see for sure. All
Thank
right,
you,
man.
bro.
Salud, man. I hope you have a good night. Get some sleep. Get some rest. Be safe. Love you, man.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks again.
Love you.
Bye.